touch a little on one of my favorite tests when it comes to fertility and overall hormone health. So, when it comes to assessing hormone imbalances and just overall reproductive health, the Dutch Comprehensive Hormone Test by Precision Analytical is the gold standard. So, let's take a closer look at why this test is far superior to conventional lab testing approaches. All right, so mainstream medicine usually goes the route of serum blood tests, right? Testing in the blood. But testing this way only provides a snapshot in time of a person's hormone levels. These tests really fail to capture the full picture of how hormones are being produced, how they're being really broken down and metabolized, and how they're being excreted throughout the day. And this can lead to missed or misdiagnosis of really critical hormone imbalances. Okay, so then in contrast, the Dutch test utilizes dried urine samples collected over a 24-hour period, and it's a super simple collection process for the patient to do at home. And this way of testing through the urine allows for the measurement of both free bioavailable hormones as well as their metabolites. This provides a much clearer understanding of the body's hormone regulation and its conversion pathways. Serum blood tests also have significant limitations when it comes to accurately measuring cortisol, right? So, cortisol is a key stress hormone that can significantly impact fertility and overall health when it's out of balances, right? We need cortisol, but we need it to be in check. We need it to be in balance. So, cortisol is a really important thing to be assessing when we're looking into fertility. And we want to make sure that we're getting the most accurate picture of not just how much cortisol the person is producing, but also looking at what its pattern is throughout the day. So, with the Dutch test, we're getting salivary collections throughout the day, which really allows us to see that full diurnal cortisol curve, which just paints a super clear picture of the patient's adrenal function as a whole. And then additionally, the Dutch test evaluates not just sex hormones, right, like estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, but it also provides insights into thyroid, melatonin, and neurotransmitter function like epinephrine, norepinephrine. And now notice that I said it provides insights to thyroid function. Okay, so the Dutch test does not directly measure thyroid hormone itself, but it does give us really excellent clues as to if there might be something more that's going on with the thyroid that maybe we need to do some further investigating on. So, again, this really holistic assessment that the Dutch test offers is critical for uncovering the root causes of complex hormonal imbalances. And one area where the Dutch test really, really shines is in identifying some really common hormone imbalances that can have a huge impact on fertility. For example, it can help pinpoint issues like excess estrogen, low progesterone, and androgen excess, right? So, our androgens being DHEA, testosterone, and their metabolites, all of which are closely linked to problems like irregular periods and ovulation, PCOS, and even recurrent miscarriage. So, by measuring these hormones and their metabolites, the Dutch test provides a level of granularity that allows us as healthcare practitioners to develop highly targeted and customized treatment plans. So, rather than just treating the symptoms, this approach of using these advanced functional labs enables us to really hone in on and address the underlying hormonal dysregulation that can kind of drive some of these fertility challenges for a lot of patients. One more thing I wanted to touch on is that the Dutch test also stands out for its ability to measure 8-OH-DG, which is in the organics acids section, and 8-OH-DG, which stands for 8-hydroxy-2-deoxyguanosine. That is a handful to say, but this is a marker of oxidative stress. So, elevated oxidative stress is very closely linked to things like accelerated aging, inflammation, and again, circling back, it can be a clue of something that may be impairing fertility. So, really, this additional data point gives us crucial insights into the overall health and vitality of our patients. Just the comprehensive nature of the Dutch test allows us to create personalized treatment plans targeting the specific hormonal and metabolic imbalances for each individual patient. And this approach is really essential for optimizing fertility, for optimizing menstrual health, and overall well-being. So, just to give you kind of an example of how the Dutch test can provide these really valuable, actionable insights, let's say a patient comes in, she's struggling with irregular periods, fatigue, and she's been trying to conceive, but she's been failing. So, a conventional blood test may only reveal something, for example, like maybe we see that she has mild thyroid imbalance, or we can see that she has slightly elevated androgens, right? We're getting some information, but we're just sort of scratching the surface there. But then we do a Dutch test on her, and it tells us a much more complete story. Maybe it shows us that, yes, this patient has some high androgen activity, but now we can see even deeper that she's got a more favorable conversion of her high testosterone into its more potent metabolite, dihydrotestosterone. And additionally, maybe the test uncovered some suboptimal cortisol patterns, right, with really high levels in the morning and really high levels in the evening, but she has a blunted midday peak. Right, so then we know that this cortisol dysregulation is likely contributing to the patient's fatigue and maybe even hindering her healthy ovulation. So then here we are, armed with this nuanced data, we can now develop a really targeted treatment plan for this patient. Maybe it will involve using some supplementation to get her androgens balanced, right? We'll want to support healthy cortisol rhythms by helping address her stress and her sleep and her diet. And we'll also look at balancing and supporting her other hormones like progesterone. Maybe we saw that that was low on her test. So we just get a lot more bang for our buck, really, when we can look deeper into some of these areas. Because if this patient went with conventional medicine route and she stuck to those basic serum labs that she did, she may have simply been treated for the mild thyroid imbalance, and maybe she tried a one size fits all PCOS protocol, but completely missing the root causes and totally failing to achieve the desired outcomes. So, this is the power of the Dutch test. It allows us to see the big picture while also identifying the specific hormonal levers that need some adjusting. And it's this level of detail that is absolutely crucial for successfully managing complex conditions like infertility or irregular cycles. And something I forgot to mention is that this test is not just for females. This test is also a wonderful tool to use on men and gives us, again, just a much deeper insight as to what's going on at the level of not just hormone production, but also of metabolism and excretion. All very, very important things when it comes to hormonal health and especially fertility. So, as you can tell, I love the Dutch test, and it's a tool that I use often in my practice because it does really just give us so much more insight as to what is going on with a patient at a much deeper level from what we may be able to see just from basic blood work. So, thank you guys all for watching. And to learn more about what I do, feel free to check out my website in the link below.